Hello and welcome to episode number 5 of the Red Zone this season. I'm Alex Campbell, and yes, we have reached the halfway point of the regular season, and the North Central Cardinals football team marked the occasion in some style, putting up 73 points on the road against Carroll, alongside securing their first shutout of the season. We'll hear from a playmaker from each side of the ball in this game, quarterback Luke Lehnen, who threw for 4 touchdown passes, and linebacker Angelo Cusumano, who snagged an interception for the second straight week. And of course, I'll be joined by head coach Brad Spencer to break things down and analyze where things are at for the number 1 team in the country 5 games in. But first, let's take a look at those exciting highlights from Saturday's impressive victory. The North Central football team, coming off a big win over Wheaton, faced another orange and blue challenge this week, the Carroll University Pioneers, on a beautiful fall day in Waukesha, Wisconsin. A win would mean reaching the halfway point of the regular season a perfect 5-0 and extend their winning streak over Carroll to 8. Things got off to a perfect start for the Cardinals as Terrence Hill takes the opening kickoff back 94 yards for a touchdown. It's the senior's first career kickoff return touchdown, and Cardinals running away from Pioneer defenders would be a theme of the day. Speaking of which, on North Central's first offensive drive, Ethan Greenfield runs 52 yards for yet another touchdown, and just over 3 minutes in, the Cardinals are up 2 scores. After a second successive Carroll 3-and-out, Jacob Parody fields the punt and weaves his way into plus territory, which of course was shortly followed by another touchdown. Parody the score of it as well on a pass from Luke Lehnen, 21-0 with over 9 minutes still to play in the first quarter. That was plenty of time for a similar looking Lehnen touchdown pass, this one to Terrence Hill for both of their second touchdowns of the day. 28-0 at the end of the first, business as usual for the number 1 team in the country. The defense was doing plenty of good work to maintain the shutout, like this sack by Brandon Greifeld. On the next Cardinals drive, Lehnen stands in under pressure and floats a perfect pass downfield for D'Angelo Hardy inside the Pioneers' 10-yard line. They link up again a couple plays later, this time for 6. Lehnen's third TD pass of the half, and Hardy's team-leading 6th of the season. The hosts couldn't get anything going on offense. Here, quarterback Josh Raby tries to force a pass into a tight window, but it's picked off by Angelo Cusumano, the sophomore linebacker, with a takeaway for the second week in a row. His good return once again sets up great field position, and once again it's Terrence Hill with his third touchdown of the first half to make it 42-0 still in the second quarter. But the Cardinals were far from done, an almost identical play to the one earlier from Lehnen to Hardy, but this time the ball gets caught in the wind and Hardy makes a great diving adjustment for the catch. It's then Greenfield time again as he spins, stiff arms, and trucks his way to another rushing touchdown, already up to 11 on the season. Last week, the Cardinals beat the first half buzzer with a field goal. This week, they do it with a touchdown pass. Lehnen to Peter Braithwaite with no time left. A staggering 56-0 lead for North Central at halftime. Quickly running through the second half scoring, Tanner Raines made a 39-yard field goal, his longest yet this year, and both Joe Sacco and Darius Bird scored rushing touchdowns to extend the lead to 73. Keeping the shutout was a point of pride for the Cardinals defense, and just when it looked as if they were going to lose it, a Raby pass is deflected and then spectacularly intercepted with one hand by Adam Green. The Cardinals get their first shutout and largest margin of victory yet this season in a 73-0 romp. 5 games down and 5 to go in the regular season, and the Cardinals made the turn with a statement on the scoreboard. Head coach Brad Spencer is here as always. Coach, congrats on making it 5 out of 5.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
So it's very cliche to always say you learn through adversity, you learn when you lose. What do you learn when you win 73-0?
Well, every week you go back and you're watching the film and you learn every week. And our message coming out of this game was great job. We're going to celebrate a win. We're always going to celebrate a win. But at the same time, you're always looking for the details and the ways that you can get better. Our message is the same every single week: get 1% better, focus on ourselves, not the opponent, not the outcome, not the result. And so that doesn't change, whether you're 33-20 against Wheaton or you're 70-0 against Carroll.
And on that note, given that Carroll has had some really competitive games this season, they were coming off an overtime win over Augustana, who looks to be a pretty good team. Were you expecting this to be a bit of a tougher challenge, or is it just a statement of how well your team executed in this game?
Yeah, I got that question after the game from somebody in the program, and we really felt like Carroll's a well-coached team. They're getting a lot better since their new staff took over 2 years ago. And I think this just shows what we can do when we show up and play a strong game. The message was not to have a letdown after the Wheaton game, to show up and be us, do what we do, and our guys did that. And I think it speaks more to what our team did than what Carroll did or didn't do. Our guys were ready to go, and I was really proud of them for that.
First shutout of the season for the defense. I know that unit is extremely proud of that accomplishment. What does it mean for you to see them check that box, and especially the way it ended with Adam Green getting the interception literally on the 1 yard line to preserve the 0?
Yeah, it was great for our guys to get that first time in a couple of years. Happy for Coach Durking and our defensive staff, happy for our guys. And just really glad that, down the stretch, our guys were able to come up and make a couple of plays when they needed to. Adam Green, you mentioned, was in the right place, the right time, was doing what he was supposed to do, and made really a terrific interception. And that was one of our focuses going into the game. Their quarterback was top in the country and not turning the ball over and touchdown passes. And so we really wanted to make him work, make him feel what it is to turn the ball over, which he hadn't done in 4 games, and our guys did that.
So plenty of places to look for, stars of this game on offense. Terrence Hill gets a hat trick of touchdowns, kick return, receiving, rushing. Luke throws 4 touchdown passes. Ethan averages 14 yards a carry. What's the offensive headline for you? What do you think is the headline takeaway from the way you guys executed on the offensive side of the ball?
Well, we wanted to go into the game and score on our first drive, control the line of scrimmage, and not have any turnovers, and we checked all 3 of those boxes. So I think for me, it was efficiency. It was being efficient in what we were doing. Certainly rushing for almost 400 yards again is a great way to start. And then Luke was 10 of 12, extremely efficient. His quarterback efficiency rating was extremely high. His completion percentage extremely high. So I think just efficiency is really the name of the game. Don't get me wrong, there's still things that we watched on film yesterday that we need to get corrected, as we kind of get into the heart of our season. But offensively, very happy that we were able to control the football, control the line of scrimmage, and score 56 points in the first half.
You never want to see guys leave the field injured. The first guy we saw having to be helped off was Joey Lombardi, a guy who's come into the program and made a difference at wide receiver. It opened up an opportunity, though, for Jacob Parody, who had his best game in a Cardinal uniform yet in his career. What did you see from him, and how's Joey doing?
Yeah, well, first of all, Joey, likely going to miss him for a couple of weeks with an ankle injury, but we do expect him back. And Jacob's really stepped up. His best game, probably up until last week against Carroll, was Wheaton College. And, for a young receiver to step up and play his best against the best, that carries a lot of weight. And we're really proud of him. I'm really proud of him for the way that he's really coming on this year. And then you saw him this past weekend step up and have a few more touches, have a touchdown, be in the right spot. He's doing the right things. Sunday night in film, I pointed him out on 4 or 5 plays because he's hustling and he's blocking and he's doing everything that we feel like is our standard in that room. So just really proud of Jacob. I'm excited to see what he's going to do the rest of the year, and he's going to get a few more opportunities here in the coming weeks.
Another guy we saw have to leave, and it's unfortunate that this is the context he gets brought up in on the show, is Jake Johnson, who's the backup quarterback. He's been in that role for a few years now. Obviously, he'll be missed if he's not on the field, but how important is he, whether he's on the field or on the sideline, how important is he to everything you guys do? Because I think he's kind of an unsung hero of the past couple seasons of Cardinal offense.
He is, and he was one of our our captains a couple of weeks ago, and it was for just that. He's a great glue guy. He decided to come back for a 5th year to be around his teammates, and understood his role and what it likely was going to be, and he fulfills it every single week. It's one of the toughest jobs in sports, is to be the backup quarterback, because you have to prepare and mentally, physically, emotionally feel what a starter feels, yet then you don't get the joy of the game reps unless somebody goes down, or we're up in a big fashion. So we're certainly hoping and praying that he's going to be okay. We've heard good news so far, but we've got to wait and see what the orthopedics say today, and just see how his body responds to that foot injury.
Next up, at home this weekend against Millikin. The last couple of years, they've had some offensive success, largely late in games, but they've been relatively better on the scoreboard than a lot of teams against you guys. But they are having a bit of a difficult season. They're coming off almost as lopsided a loss as you guys are a win.
Right.
What are you preparing most for this game? Anything in particular you're looking at as a concern, of a challenge? How are you kind of looking ahead to the game this weekend as you guys try to make it 6 in a row?
Sure. Just getting ready for what they do in all 3 phases. Typically when Millikin shows up, they play hard. They have a new coach, a new coaching staff, so I'm sure they're still learning some of what they're trying to implement there. But we're going to be ready for their best. I mean, every single week we're getting a better team than what you see on film. We know that. We know the target's on our back. We accept that, and that's the position we want to be in. So we're going to be preparing for a Millikin team that's going to be hungry. They're going to fight. They're going to want to beat us and give us everything that they've got. So we don't look at the score that they had this weekend and take them lightly. We know that each week in this conference you have to show up and play football, or anything can happen. That's what college football is, and certainly that's what our league is. You've got to show up and be prepared each and every week, and we'll attack the week the same way as we always do.
It is time to check the tape here in the Red Zone from the game of the weekend with Coach Spencer. And Coach, I want to start with Luke Lehnen and 2 of his first half touchdown throws. These throws looked very similar at first, but watching back, can you take me through what decisions he's having to make leading up to these touchdowns?
Yeah, this first one here, we're running a little naked play action pass. We've got a wheel and a flat route, and their alley defender sat in the flats. He did a great job throwing the ball to Jacob, and Jacob did a good job finishing this off and getting into the end zone. Great to see Jacob step up this week. Looking forward to seeing what's going on with him next week.
And then this one, much more of just a pocket pass, and he's going through a progression, finding Terrence Hill for the touchdown.
Yeah, we had trips to the field here. We got one-on-one coverage with the linebacker. Our receiver did a nice job making that linebacker go underneath him on that wheel route by Terrence. So both wheel routes, but different formations, very different plays. And Luke did a good job being accurate and putting the ball on the receivers.
Next up, is this Ethan Greenfield in one run, just encapsulated? We've got the spin move, the stiff arm, the truck at the end, some sprinting in there. This just feels like a microcosm of his abilities.
It is, and that's Ethan. He's a very physical runner. He's faster than you think. We have those GPSs on our guys, and he was our top speed getter this weekend. But he's a great runner. He's got great vision. He loves to break tackles. It's tough to bring him down, a 213-pound running back.
And then this last play, Antoine Walker, transfer from Northern Illinois, makes a great tackle coming around the edge here on 4th and inches, turnover on downs. What did you see on this play, and what have you seen from Antoine as he's come into this program?
Yeah, he's been a great addition. Phenomenal young man, very mature young man. He's got great football experience, having come from Northern Illinois, played a little bit of a higher level. And he's been a great replacement for Jake Beasley. That's our boundary corner is a really important position, if not the most important position on our defense. There's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, responsibility on that position. He's done a great job stepping in. I mean, he's a big, long, physical young man, and he likes to play that way. And that was a great play right there.
Well, halfway point of the regular season, a perfect 5-0.
Yep.
Brad Spencer, thanks as always for coming on the show, and congrats on another victory.
Thanks, Alex.
Opportunity is everywhere. It is in everything and within everyone. Your opportunity is at the center of all that we do, so that you can exceed your personal best.
Welcome back to the Red Zone. Both of these sophomores have been top performers all season so far, one picking up where he left off last year, the other stepping into some sizable shoes. Luke Lehnen, Angelo Cusumano, welcome to the Red Zone.
Thanks for having us.
So on that transition to sophomore year, Luke, I'll start with you. How different have these first 5 games of this season felt compared to the first 5 games last year when you had just taken over that quarterback job?
I think they've definitely felt a little bit different, definitely a little bit more comfortable this year, just because last year everything was a little hectic for me. First college appearances on a pretty good team, going against teams like Wheaton in week 2. But I definitely think this year I'm definitely more prepared, more comfortable for those big games early on. Like we had Wheaton early on again this year. I think I was a little more calm for it, I would say.
And then Angelo, you and BJ Adamczyk stepping in for Storm Simmons and Ben Wong, 2 fifth-year seniors last year. What advice did they give you in the lead up to this season or even last year to kind of get you guys ready to step into their shoes? And has there been any existing feedback? And then Sam Taviani as well is there to help you guys along.
Yeah, having the past 2 years to be under Ben and Storm's wings, they really took us under and taught us their ways. So filling the shoes was a lot easier having them for the past 2 years, but it was difficult, but working together and then having Tavi help us out along the way made everything a lot easier.
And then Luke, speaking of position groups, you kind of inherited an existing group of wide receivers last year, a unit that had spent a lot of time together. This year, a lot of change at that position. D'Angelo Hardy is back as far as the main contributors at that position, but otherwise it's some new faces, some guys stepping up. How's that been a different experience, and has it asked you to be more of a leader in those situations, when you're talking to the receiver group?
I definitely think this year I've become more of like a leader for the team, more vocal leader. Like as you mentioned last year with the receivers, we already had Andrew Kvinsky, Blake Williams, Corey Blair, Matt Metz, all there that have been there before for 4 years. But this year I've definitely seen myself becoming more of a leader, just helping guys out when they're unsure of some things, giving them confidence boosts when maybe they mess up in practice or in games, just little things like that. But I'm very appreciative of the group I have this year. They're doing a fantastic job so far, and I'm excited for the rest of the year with them.
Angelo, your second week in a row with an interception and on plays that looked pretty similar, at least in terms of what you were doing. We hear a lot in football analysis about defenders watching a quarterback's eyes. Mm-hmm. But on plays like the interception against Wheaton and the one against Carroll, what's going through your head on those plays between the snap and when you make that pick?
For the Wheaton one, it was more of a rollout, so I was just trying to match the quarterback and get between him and his receiver. And I saw his eyes light up, and he went to throw the ball, and I was right in my area, so I just tried to grab it and do the best I could. Same with Carroll. I was dropping back, and Nick Rummel and Julian Bell were communicating with me, and I saw the quarterback looking right at the receiver and just got in the passing window.
And then, Luke, this weekend for you, 10 of 12, 4 touchdowns, 2 of the other completions are bombs to D'Angelo. How is that efficiency, how does that make you feel as a quarterback on a play-to-play basis? What's kind of your experience of the gameplay when things are going so smoothly?
It definitely gives me a confidence boost. I mean, I felt like I was on fire that game, even though I only threw like 12 passes. Just made me feel good and more confident in my abilities. And the first 4 games of the season, I haven't felt like I've been playing at the level I should be with like passing efficiency and stuff. Just had a few turnovers and stuff like that. So this game definitely makes me feel a lot better about how I've been playing.
All right, so halfway through the season, 5-0. At this stage last year, you guys had just beaten Carthage on the road. How does this season feel in comparison to last year? Similar, different, and can you even draw comparisons to a team that eventually played for a national championship for fear of getting ahead of yourselves?
For me, this season was a little bit different, going from being in a backup spot to now a starter spot. So that was just a little bit different, but otherwise I would say it was pretty similar to me. It's a long season, having that bye week, week 1. So just trying to keep our mind on the goal.
For me, I would say it's been pretty similar than last year. Of course, there's been new faces like the receiver group that we mentioned and bringing in a new O-lineman and some new defensive faces. But seems pretty similar because, I mean, our standard here is to win football games, and we've been winning a lot of football games since I've been here. So seems pretty similar to me, but just got to keep getting better every week.
All right, so as we wrap up every player interview on the Red Zone, got some quick hits, some non-football stuff. First of all, for each of you, going way back, what was your favorite cartoon on TV as a kid?
Well, mine, it was SpongeBob, even though I wasn't allowed to watch it. My mom was one of those parents that was like, no, you can't watch it. It's inappropriate for you when you're 8 years old or whatever. So whenever I'd go over to a friend's house, we would sneak it on the TV so I could watch it there, but could never watch it at my own house.
My mom started the same way, but then it just got so popular that she just gave up because she realized it was unavoidable.
For me, mine would be Avatar, The Last Airbender. Luke knows this because we roomed last year, and during camp I had it on the TV every day going, so I would say that was my favorite cartoon growing up.
So we know on this football team there's a lot of multi-talented guys. Luke, for example, I know you had quite the successful season for baseball, particularly defensively this past year. So as very athletic guys, is there a sport, an activity, something you consider yourself to be terrible at?
I am really bad at golf. I think there's many people that can attest to that. I've played with Dan Lester and Jake Johnson before, and Brandon Greifeld was there too. I was pretty bad. I don't really have an excuse for it. I'm just not the best at it. I just don't really know how to play either.
For me, I claim to be a good basketball player, but I'm not the best. I just like to make people laugh at my skills, let people have a good time, but I'm not the best basketball player.
Who is the best basketball player now? I remember hearing last year that Jake Beasley was kind of the unanimous decision. Who's taken the mantle from him?
I would say this guy. This guy's lights out from three-point, so he's got my vote.
Well, my vote, I'm gonna either Jacob Parody or Nick Laird. You wouldn't see it from Nick Laird being a D lineman, but he's really athletic and he can shoot lights out also, and Parody can dunk a basketball very easily from pretty far out.
He doesn't look like a guy who's got the height to do that, so that's really impressive.
Yeah, no, he's really explosive. I mean, in the game, you saw it on a 2-minute drill into the half. He went up and caught that back shoulder ball. He was floating, so those are my top two.
Okay, so final question. Speaking of teammates, if you were to be stranded on a deserted island with one other player on the team, who would you want there with you to help you get out of there?
I would have to go with Josh Sloan. He's my roommate, really close to me. Work good together, so I feel like we'd be able to survive, get a lot of fish.
I think I have two that I would go with, one or the other. One would be Brandon Greifeld. Not sure why. I think he'd be pretty good on an island. He'd be very practical and stuff like that. And then the other one would be Jake Johnson, but I said him second because he's hurt right now, so I don't know if he'd be much help for me, but...
Not current Jake Johnson,
not current
but
Jake Johnson.
Theoretically
Yes.
Jake Johnson.
Yes.
But yeah, of course, all the best to Jake. Hopefully him and Joey Lombardi make quick recoveries. You guys, though, are just on a roll right now, so keep up the good work. Best of luck against Millikin this weekend. Luke Lehnen, Angelo Cusumano, thanks for coming on the Red Zone.
Thanks for having us.
Stay in the know at home or on the go with NCTV 17 News Update. This quick recap of everything happening in and around town will be delivered straight to your email inbox for free. Sign up today.
It's time for this week's Red Zone play of the game. And where else can we go than the very first play of the game? Senior running back Terrence Hill fields the Carroll kickoff at his own 6-yard line, picks up a few blocks, including from Joe Sacco, Will Vernon, and Danny Nuccio, and breaks a few arm tackles to break into open field and use his track sprinter speed to take it all the way for a touchdown. It's Hill's first ever kick return touchdown, and he was far from done, going on to score both a receiving and rushing touchdown as well. That spark to start the 73-point performance for the Cardinals is this week's Red Zone play of the game. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of The Red Zone. It is a very busy Saturday this weekend at Benedetti Worley Stadium. Of course, we start with Cardinals football. They take on the Millikin Big Blue at 1 p.m. on NCTV 17 and NorthCentralCardinals.com. You can join Grant Sabo and I for the call. We'll be on the air a few minutes before kickoff. But if you want more top-level Cardinals action, we've got a soccer doubleheader after that as the undefeated men's team and nationally ranked women's team both take on Carroll. The women play at 5 and the men at 7:30. You can watch both of those games on NorthCentralCardinals.com. Until that very busy afternoon and evening, I'm Alex Campbell. Thanks for watching The Red Zone.